If you are an overseas student like myself, PTE is probably one of the items on your hate list. When I first took the test in 2020, I had already spent around 9 years in Australia, so I thought the test would be easy peasy. But surprise surprise, it turned out to be one of the toughest exams I ever had to do. But after 1 month of intense strategic study, I was able to get the perfect score on my first attempt without taking those expensive courses. So in this video, I would like to share with you my 3 biggest tips on how I prepared for the test. Tip number 1. Use your scored practice test strategically. I would highly recommend you to get yourself one of those practice test bundles on Pearson website. At the time, this cost me around $90 and it came with 3 scored practice tests. We obviously want to use these tests to get a feel for the formats and timing, but more importantly, we want to use this as an indicator of our preparation progress. Every time you finish a practice test, you will get an overall score for speaking, listening, reading, and writing. But this is not nearly enough. On top of these, you should note down how you felt as you went through the test. For example, which section you found easy, which ones caught you by surprise, which one tripped you off. So that for the next few days or weeks, depending on how much time you have left until your test, you could focus on improving your weak section before attempting your next score test. For me, I had 1 month, so I did a score test every 5 to 7 days. I think this really helped me to determine how I should allocate my time and study as effectively and efficiently as possible while juggling my other priorities such as work and exercise. Tip number 2. Make use of notes, videos, and online practice. The key resource I used during my preparation was actually YouTube. It has tons and tons of great videos for each section of the test. These include things like what to look out for, useful tips and hacks, and standard templates you can memorize for your test. The important thing to remember here is you don't need to be fancy or original in your responses. Your test is literally marked by a computer algorithm. There's no one to impress here. For me, I've copied a template for relevant parts of the test from the internet, modified it to my taste so it's easier for me to remember, and just memorize it for the test. This worked like a charm because I didn't have to come up with a new paragraph structure for every question. I just used the same template and fill in whatever content I heard. The second resource I highly recommend is this website called PTEai. It has a large question bank for every section of the test, sometimes containing questions from the actual test for as recent as the month before. I will come here to just spam 20 to 30 sets of whatever section I struggled with when I was doing the practice test. The only downfalls are the website is in Chinese, and you will need a WeChat account to log on to the website. But if neither of those are a problem to you, I 100% recommend it for doing practice problems. Finally, in my notes, I also have an overview of the test structure, including the section weightings and whether or not it is timed, or I can do it in my own pace. This really helped me during my test as I can react more quickly because I know what's coming up, and to know which section contribute to each of the speaking, listening, reading, and writing category, so if I didn't do so well in one, I can always make up the marks elsewhere. Tip number 3. Have a clear goal. I know this last one sounds cheesy, but it's important that we set a goal. When I took the test, I was a poor uni student without a full-time job. A PTE test in Australia would cost you around $350. The idea of having to pay this much to do a test was killing me, let alone having to do it again if I don't get the score I need. So I was absolutely determined to get what I want in the first attempt. And when you have a clear goal in mind, your mind figures out a way to get it done. But let me emphasize, this is definitely not a test you can walk in without preparation, even for someone with pretty decent English. Because half of the time, they're not even testing your English. They're testing your reaction time or how well you can remember a sentence. I think if you give this test to a native speaker, they will get 60% tops. But on the flip side, at least this means that as long as you put in the work to practice, you should be able to do well. And that's all for this video, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Otherwise, good luck for your test.